Hello friends, welcome to the weekly Prepper Pantry Hall. This is Lee the Cold War Prepper, and this is the week ending Saturday, November 2nd, 2024. So let's get into this week's haul. 5 notebooks and journals, 1 set of playing cards that I ended up getting at the thrift store. Never used bridge, contract bridge set. It has the score pads. The cards are still wrapped in cellophane. Just a great buy. I think I got it for $2. We got Jiffy cake mix. Now, the way I use the Jiffy cake mix is I'll pour a can of peaches or a can of apples or cherries into the bottom of a Dutch oven, and then mix the cake mix and pour it on top, and that way I can do a cobbler. There are plenty of videos on YouTube on how to do that. Strongly recommend you consider doing that. Cake mix in a can of whatever and some liquid. In Boy Scouts, we used a can of Sprite or 7-Up instead of water for the to mix the crust. Right now, Jiffy cornbread mix, corn muffin mix is 50 cents a box. You get all of it you can while it's on sale. We fixed that for dinner last night, and basically what we did was we put it in muffin tins, and it was great. You can also just put it in a regular pie pan and do a regular corn bread that way. But you know, it's just great to have around. Get as much of it as you can. Helen fixed chicken cheese enchilada casserole, which was the very first thing she ever cooked for me before we got married. And so I had to replace some of that. We take stuff out of the working pantry. Well, actually, we take it out of the kitchen pantry and replace it from the working pantry. And then from the working pantry, we replace the working pantry from the long-term pantry. And so now I have to replace the stuff that we pulled out of the long-term pantry. So for that recipe, we use chicken broth, cheddar cheese soup, cream of chicken soup, as well as a can of chilies, and so and some evaporated milk. So all that has to be replaced. We went through, gosh, I had cans of evaporated milk from 2015, and it did not go well. It does not store well. So ended up going through almost the entire stock of evaporated milk. So I'm going to put some more back in there, putting 2 cans back in there. Can of Spam bacon. Now, bacon is something that there used to be a company, Yoder's, and they did fantastic canned bacon. Lived on it for a couple of weeks right after I graduated from high school, between high school and college. Worked for the U.S. Geodetic Society, and we surveyed the west bank of the Gila River in New Mexico. And we lived off of Yoder's bacon, potatoes, beans, rainbow trout. Oh, the fishing was phenomenal. And did I say Yoder's bacon? Yeah, Yoder's bacon now. But we lived off of it and never got tired of it, so that was fantastic. I do have a subscribe and save with Amazon, so this every other month I get leaks, every month I get dude wipes, and I also get these Nurture bathing wipes, and so that's what they use in hospitals when they can't get you into a shower or bath. Talked about the green chilies. We also picked up a brand new can. Never seen these before at the restaurant. I'm sorry, at the grocery store. Chicken cheese enchilada soup. We're going to try that and see how that is. Maybe we'll add a whole bunch of that to our inventory as well. The Neomed sinus rinse. We got one of those. On top of the box, there's a $3 coupon so that you can get the replacement package of saline that you just pour into the bottle along with distilled water. So I'm going to go get those, and that'll be on the expect to see those next week for the pantry haul. Let me see, where are we? Gosh, can of Raid insecticide, a gallon of camp fuel. I'll explain that here in just a minute. We also fixed some pinto beans and cornbread and bacon and onions the other day, so I got to replace the pinto beans that we took out of stock. We emptied a 3 liter bottle of soda. We don't drink that much soda here, but when we do, we save the 3 liter bottles. So it takes about 5 pounds of pinto beans to fill up one of those 3 liter bottles. So that's basically what we'll do with these. I picked up a loop antenna for my HF radio, and so that should improve my overall reception as far as HF. From freeze-dry wholesalers, I picked up some, and this won't happen that often. These will probably be the only ones I purchased. Some New York style strip steaks and some hamburger patties. That was an awful lot of money for those 2 packages. So that's why it's going to be a celebratory item in a post-apocalyptic world, because we can't afford to eat those 2 regularly. Picked up a copy of Basic Butchering of Livestock and Game. Now, this is why I had to get the camp fuel. I always wanted to get one of these. I got rid of mine, I guess, at a yard sale decades ago. But I really like this pressure tank Coleman camp stove. And this one was made in 1979. The white gas goes in this red container here. It's got a pump over here on the side. Put your thumb over the end of it and you pump it up until you have pressure on the inside. That pressure forces the fuel through this control knob here onto the burners. You got 2 burners. Then you have an outside cooking stove using white gas or camp fuel, whichever you prefer to call it. Now, the disadvantage to that is now I have to store 4 different kinds of fuel. I use the little cans of basically sterno-type cans that you can use indoors. And those go with my Instafire products, my Vesta Instafire and my oven. So that's one type of fuel. Then I have the, I think it's 1 pound butane tanks that go with my 1 burner stove. And then I have the 2 pound propane tanks that go with my Mr. Buddy system. And they also go with one of the lanterns. And they also go with one of the other stoves that we have. So now I'm storing 4 different kinds of fuel. And if I were to do it all over again, I would look at ways, how can I reduce the different types of fuel so that I'm just using the minimum number of fuels that I can get. Now, I will tell you that the newer types of this, use the same butane as does my single burner stove. So the newer version of this, with the 1 pound butane, I believe can also be used indoors. So that's everything we've gotten. Remember that next week is the election. Expect all kinds of stuff, funny stuff going on. Remember the mostly peaceful protests that burned down a police station and several other things. But remember, that was mostly peaceful, whereas where there was no damage and no one was injured except for 1 person being shot by the police on January, a date in January, that's considered major problem. So expect something similar to the Antifa, mostly friendly, peaceful protests after what's coming up this coming Tuesday. So remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other, because togetherness is the key.